Good afternoon. How are you? I'm dressed a little too warmly today. I have a pea coat on, although I like wearing pea coats. It makes me think I'm back in college. I spent a little time today at Johns Hopkins looking at my eye, and apparently the operation did sufficiently fuse the gap that was there, and my eyesight, as the bubble goes away, is improved. And it may get better and it may not. We have to wait a while because there's still stuff going around in my eye. I posted a picture that they used. My undergraduate degree is in physics, and the optics that they have are just fascinating and impressive and awesome. But and obviously they're used to good advantage, because imagine what happened before they had lasers to do these operations in the eyes. They were not always very successful, and therefore not even tried in some occasions. Hi. So I found a fellow traveler on my road today. So what's going on? Well, there's only one real story that interests me, and as I'm going walking, we've gone through the second humiliation of McCarthy seeking to get a vote from the Congress, 218 votes, to become its speaker. But he has such a split in his own conference, or caucus as you prefer to call it, or understand it, that he can't get them. And the question is, how many times can he demand that they vote without a change? Now, at some point, somebody may get the bright idea and say, let's all surround John here and do it with him. And who knows? No Jacket Jordan has been mentioned as the substitute that would come together. They know they're playing upon his ego, even though No Jacket Jordan is presently in McCarthy's camp. And one of the tough issues in the caucus was after McCarthy gave a stump speech earlier today. He was asked in the caucus room by Perry, the congressman, would he agree that there would be no sanctions against those who voted or worked against him. And the kind of sanctions they had in mind were what they did with Congresswoman Green, which is to take away committee assignments. And he wouldn't agree to that. And so Perry said, well, that's the end of that. And he walked out. So they are in victory, as distorted, confused, and disorganized as they are otherwise. They cannot put some higher goal above just winning. And the Freedom Forum feels so strongly about it. They're holding tight, but they're only tight enough. They're bumping the road to prevent McCarthy from getting the speakership. Now, by the time you hear this, maybe they will have resolved it. But the only way to resolve it is there's a compromise, and they stay with McCarthy. They start breaking to someone else. Maybe not any of the names we've been discussing so far. I don't know who that would be in the Republican conference, because the names that might seem likely in other times are too moderate for the renegades who want it all and want it their way, and they want it now. And they don't have a higher goal other than winning to embrace to bring them all together. In the meantime, the Democrats hold together, and if any Republicans should break for the Democrats, we would have a Democratic speaker in a majority Republican House. Now that's something. I think that's in the, 10% possibility if chaos reigns. In the meantime, it's the clerk of the House is in charge of the House. That is to say, not any member of Congress, because the clerk of the House, the first piece of business is to choose the speaker and to go from that point. And the speaker has to endorse and allow to be sworn in the members of Congress. So imagine the scene. It's like a Bruegel painting. We have the children gathered, now crying bloody murder, because they thought they were going to be there and watch dad or mom, cousin, aunt get sworn into Congress, and all have a group picture and move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. That's not going to happen. And this could go on for repeated votes. McCarthy could just walk away from it, but you know how stubborn we Irish are. So I don't know that he'll do that. He said he won't do it, and he did stake out kind of an old school situation when he held the floor of the House for an extended period of time. He thought he was Mr. Smith in Washington in the House instead of the Senate. So what can we expect? Nothing. You should just get yourself a big bag of popcorn and watch the proceedings on TV or listen to it on the radio, and maybe do something useful because the members of Congress are not. And this is the snapshot of what we can expect going forward. If these guys can't choose their own leader, how do they choose an agenda? How do they choose an agenda for legislation? And if it's really terrible, the Senate can kill it because we have Democratic control there, and the President, Biden, can veto it. So we have a split Congress, but we have also a situation in which the Republicans have highly questionable power because of the arrangement of the House, the Senate, and the President, and because among themselves they can't agree. And however the speakership sorts out, it's not going to change this fight. This is going to be an ongoing fight. And we've seen two former speakers have a lot of trouble with the rabble that make up the Republican conference in the House. So this is not good government by any means, because these guys and gals can't govern. And it looks like you can get their support based on bidding for what you want. I mean, don't you think that's true of Green? And don't you think that's true of No Jacket Jordan? So the loyalty among them is sort of like a crook's loyalty. That is, I'm in it as long as this is a good deal for me and perhaps a few other people who are in my caucus. So if this hasn't already resolved itself by the time you hear what I have to say, you can probably judge that the outlines of what I think were going on persist. And the next question is, will America remember this hugely embarrassing day for the Republicans in the House as we go through the year toward the 2024 elections? And I think they will, because I think this is a harbinger of what is to come, which is disorganization, scattered thinking, no higher purposes, more lying, and perhaps wasting taxpayers' dollars and money on bogus investigations. I'm not saying there shouldn't be investigations. There are legitimate ones. I know. I've participated in them. And I participated when the Democrats were the minority. And I thought there were legitimate investigations. So we have to keep this in mind. But we lack the good faith of the participants. So whatever the government does among Republicans in the House is suspect. So I just take a deep breath and enjoy my cathedral of trees all around me, because they're certain, they're here, and they know what they're doing, even if the Republicans don't. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.